listening to you. That was really good. Good morning. Oh, I guess I ought to use this, huh? All right. Okay, because we have people online too. Good morning again, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. We welcome you, those of you who are in our sanctuary this morning and joining us online. It's a joy to be together in worship. Okay, this is where I tell you who I am, and I'm question mark, your service associate for this service. My pronouns are he or him. I am an older, somewhat short, straight man. I am neat enough, but I probably need a haircut soon. I am neat enough, and I'm repeating lines. I picked these clothes out just this morning without a lot of forethought, so I hope they match right. I got a lot of things on my mind, I guess. I hope they ended up somewhat coordinated. I don't place a lot of emphasis on those kinds of visuals. A warm welcome to all our guests, whether this is your first visit or your 100th. You are part of this beloved community. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you're from, whatever your life circumstances, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, documentation status, or spiritual path, you fit in here. You belong here. Your story matters. Your presence is a gift. If you're new or still finding your way, we love to connect. Online, friends, say hello to Mike, who is there, in the chat. If you're here in person, feel free to raise your hand so that we can greet you warmly. And I'm going to find the mic with my hand here. Oh, there's one. Okay. Testing. Oh, there it is. Hi, Gene.
Hi, my name is Gene Goldsmith.
If you feel like it.
First time visit.
Oh, okay.
Pronouns are she and her, and I'm a transgender woman.
Oh, hi, Gene. Okay. Are you new? No. Okay, I think that's it. Do we have anybody online who would like to? Okay. Hi, Gene. Let's see. We're very pleased you've joined us today for our service. Please fill out a visitor card and place it in the offertory basket or give it to a greeter in a lobby. We'd love to get to know you. In the lobby. We'd love to get to know you after the service. Please come afterwards for hospitality time in the RE building. If you were too shy to stand up and you're here for the first time, they have cards for you to fill out too, and you should get a greeter basket while you're at it too. I'm a little weird in my text today, but I don't want to miss things. As we enter into this time of worship, lean into the joy, music, and movement of this multi-generational space. Now, in the spirit of love and connection, turn to your neighbor and share a warm greeting. It's always a favorite thing, right? You're timing it for me? Okay, it's time. You got to stop now. We got to get on with things. They don't give us much time for this greeting stuff. What's next here? It's your turn, huh? Oh, I'll get out of the way.
I love this audience. You know, they're so friendly, and which means it always takes you a while to kind of calm down and all that. Anyway, good morning. I'm Charlie Scholz. I'm an old white dude who's slightly taller than average with receding white hair. Today I'm wearing a white shirt, a black blazer, and dark pants. Actually, I'm wearing Hugo Boss, so except for my jacket, which is from Macy's Menswear. Anyway, my pronouns are he and him, and you can call me Charlie. Our opening words this morning are by Gretchen Haley, and it's a poem, and she suggests that we put in local references, which I think I've done, and references to the time of year. Are you ready? Today, God is running late, trying to find their seat, scanning the room for somebody they know or somebody they don't. God's feeling evangelical, but not in a judgy way. Mysterious, but not manipulative. God can't stop thinking about the James Webb telescope and the possibility that time is not linear. But God already had figured that out. And the likelihood that this week Halloween candy will show up in the discount aisle. And the never-ending urgency of some recent election. God is tired of grief and white supremacy and the warming of the oceans. Not to mention, they usually come late to the service. And it's chilly. Why hasn't the climate-sensitive HVAC system been installed? God wonders. And of course, we're all like, no kidding, God, can't you do something about that? But God's hearing aids batteries ran out, and they haven't had time to order more. At least that's what they told us at the store. And that last emergency room visit really maxed out their credit cards, and their partner's been working DoorDash for some extra cash. But it's not enough, and really, God just wants to be present, stop worrying about everything, sing, breathe, laugh. We got you, God, we say. We'll settle in and we'll be present and we'll sing, we'll tell stories and breathe deeply. We'll remember ourselves and offer whole galaxies of gratitude for all this beauty, for the still blooming bushes, for zucchini bread and the U.S. women's soccer team, for protest letters and entire villages of people saying, "You are safe here." God, your creation is not yet done. creating you. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning, church. Good morning, Eric. My name is Eric Ramirez. I am the music director of the church, and I am very happy to be here today. I don't know which one to start with. Okay. I am a brown Puerto Rican 5'9" gay man. My pronouns are he, him, él, or you can just call me Eric. Today, I am wearing black because Kelly's not here, so I thought we'll uphold the tradition. Light slacks, dark shoes, and today I smell of cedar. I'm just excited. I am going to diverge a little bit. I'm sorry, Rev Ali, you can yell at me later. I had a very interesting moment. If you didn't come to the gallery opening, Joshua and I sang carols for the gallery opening. And it was the first time that I met a longtime member of here named Judy Licht. And it was a moment that I treasure because she engaged with Joshua and I. She hugged Joshua. But the most important thing for me was we were singing Christmas carols and she sang with us. She sang along with us, and it just moved my heart. I was greatly encouraged by it. And I thought about today's service, and I thought about Charlie's presenting the history of the UU, Christian roots to what we are today. And that was very much for me what the UU is today. A moment where you care for each other, and Judy was able to experience that, and I was blessed by sharing a moment with a longtime member of here that had not been here for a long time. So thank you for that. Our gathering hymn is number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Would you rise in body or spirit as you are able as we sing together? Let's sing together. Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all.
Mark, would you assist me in lighting the chalice?
Yes, sir.
Albert Schweitzer is credited with this saying, "At times our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us." You're on.
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in saying our church's affirmation of covenant and in singing the doxology in English and Spanish. The words are on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another.
At this point, we usually say, "Good morning, church," and you say, "Good morning, Kelly." That's right, but I'm not Kelly, of course. However, in honor of Kelly, I am also wearing black with a white shirt. Our story today is important to us, partly because Kelly wrote it. She wrote this in conjunction with Reverend X.K., who was formerly a minister of ours. And it's about a little girl whose name is Unique. And she says, "Hi, my name is Unique. Did you ever feel different from your friends? I used to feel different, even if I didn't know always what it was like. Did you know the word used to say, different is unique? My friends sometimes ask, where do you go on weekends? Where are you from? What does your family do? I'm unique, I think to myself. One day, someone asks, what's the name of your church? Where do you pray? Church, I think. Pray? I wonder, I have drill team practice sometimes. And I say some weekends we play tennis. They all think my family is different for not going to church. We're unique, I think. Sometimes I want to explain, but I feel a little embarrassed. I've heard my parents explain that tennis helps us appreciate exercise. They've also told me that having breakfast together on Sundays is a way of spending time together as a family. The kids all look at me with blank stares. They say I'm different. I'm unique. While I'm surrounded by my friends on playground, some talk about attending Sunday school with their siblings. Others get excited about attending synagogue with their families. I think back to how much fun I had with my mom and dad on our spring weekend morning walks. I like learning about nature and listening to my parents tell stories from their childhoods. Is that unique? One day I look around at my friends and think about everything they've said about their churches. It might be interesting to see what church is all about. I realize all families are different from other families. Are they unique, I think? My best friend Zoe asks, "You want to come to church with me?" Zoe hints that she wouldn't mind going to drill practice or tennis with me. I wonder if Zoe knows there are other religions like Judaism and Buddhism and Islam. I learned this from my parents. Each religion is unique, too. Sometimes I would rather do my homework than explain to the church gang why I don't go to church. I wonder if it's okay to be unique. Maybe church is a place where everyone is unique. Every now and then I feel like I'm not a part of the group. I'm surprised one Friday, well, actually it was Saturday, when my parents announced, "We're going to church tomorrow evening for a special program." I respond, "Then we won't be the only family who doesn't go to church?" We believe our family should grow if we belong to a spiritual community, they say. That Saturday, my parents drive to the spiritual and not religious church. I've noticed it before. It's called Community Church, which sounds unique. I met some new kids who are all different from me. They say, "We're glad you came. You're going to love it here." And I do. We talk about community and nature and kindness. I realize going to church is another world. Today we are talking about something we all know. Every single person is important, no matter how different. We call this our first principle, the teacher says. I feel like I found my new favorite place for Sunday mornings at this church. It's okay to be unique. Those things I did with my family on weekends were great, but going to the community church is a different kind of fun. When I'm there, I feel full of life, part of a new family and at home. There you are unique, just like everyone else.
As we enter this quiet moment together, I invite you to pause and take a steady, gentle breath in and out. Let your breath anchor you here and now in this circle of care. This is a time to honor the fullness of life, the joys that lift our hearts, the sorrows that weigh heavily, the questions we carry quietly inside. Whatever you bring this morning, know this: you are not alone. You are held here. In the wider world, we hold those who journey through grief and uncertainty. Federal workers facing job loss and instability, insanity, I was going to say, immigrants seeking safety, trans and non-binary beloveds, women and people of color, those living with illness or disability, confronting injustice. We hold up all who live under the shadow of war and violence. May peace, however fragile, find a way. We honor their courage. We carry them in love. In this gathered community, we take a sacred pause to share what rests on our hearts. This time is set apart for lifting up our joys, honoring our sorrows, and marking the milestones of our lives. It is not a space for announcements or political messages, but for the truths that move within us. Are there any joys, sorrows, or milestones among us this morning? You are invited to raise your hand, to have the microphone brought to you, or come forward and speak your words aloud, placing a stone. No. We don't have water. Never mind that part. As you do. Or, if you prefer, you may take a stone. Can't do that either. I'll skip that part. And I'm going to skip the ripples part too. Okay. Are there any anyone? You got a lot. I'll start over here. Okay, Jody.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Jody Natchison. I finally have a joy, WAPA, and I've just come back from 10 days in Memphis. Last October, my daughter was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it's been a really rough haul for her. And the medicine wasn't right, and the treatment didn't exactly work. And she has 3 children, 2, 11, and 17, which, if she could, would keep her busy. So I just came back because she just had major surgery. She had a hysterectomy because there was something suspicious going on. And the day that I left, she found out that she is finally cancer-free. So I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
It's okay.
You got it, Katie.
I'm going to file this under joy. I have a good friend, Kathy, who has been very worried over the last 6 weeks, back and forth to the doctor, number of tests, worried about bone cancer, but she found out it's not cancer. It's nothing that can be treated. She'll just have to live with the pain, but it is not cancer. So very happy about that.
Oh,
Good morning. I have a milestone. I have a milestone. My beloved Poppy passed 11 years ago yesterday. And every year at this time, we remember her. She was real brave. She came out, I like to say BC, before Christine. And anyway, I'm remembering her.
Good morning. My name is Jack Welch. I have a joy to share. This past week, I visited our church patriarch, Mr. Clayton Flowers, who in another 6 or 7 weeks will be 110 years old. You heard me correctly. In a few weeks, he will be 110 years old. I stopped by to help him with his absentee ballot. Clayton is very frail physically, but he's very vigorous mentally. When I was there, he was eating ice cream. He dropped a spoon on the floor and went forth with a big 4-letter word. Then he turned to me and said, "Jack, pardon my vernacular."
okay, there were so many I might have missed. Anybody online? No. Who did I miss? There's one. Okay.
Hi. Well, this will be downer. My cousin Linda is in a coma and dying, and a lot of it is a result of all of her drug use in earlier years. And she went to rehab and just couldn't knock it.
Okay, that's all I saw. Unless I didn't look at the choir this time. Okay. As we close, I offer this. No. The candle. I'll light a candle instead. Not a good idea to do it backwards. Get the spark on your hand. There.
Thank you, Mark. Let's be in silence for a moment. Here we are together, each facing our different human tasks, or maybe the same central one, to embrace the lessons life delivers, to discern and respond as we grow, to refuse harm and cherish flourishing. May we know ourselves as vessels of infinite possibility, holders of each other's heartaches and tales of joy alike, weavers of one story in which we each have our part. Amen.
Hello, my name is Janet Pitt, and I've been a member of this church for over 20 years. I'm not going to start by describing myself because I think that would take up precious time. If you are visually impaired, I apologize, but I know that you have developed a very strong sense of listening and that you learn the essence of a person by hearing that person speak. So I want to get directly to speaking about my topic, and that is to tell you about the gifts of joy I have received from the church. I first discovered Unitarian Universalism in my 20s. My husband and I decided to visit a Unitarian Universalist church just north of our apartment in Baltimore, Maryland. We liked the minister, but what really excited us was hearing comments from people during the sermon talkback. The sermon talkback was done twice monthly, and it was a time of about 7 minutes at the end of a service when someone could stand up and make a brief comment about the service or ask the minister a brief question. And a very good moderator enforced the rule about being brief. Well, my husband and I found that we were identifying with many of the thoughts that were expressed. So during coffee hour, we would go up to people who were strangers and just say, "We found your comment or your question very interesting." So conversations started, and then friendships started. And we joined the church, we became active, and we had many years of the gifts of beautiful friendships, spiritual inspiration, and lots of fun activities. And then I received a gift that I had not expected. My husband, who was very active on the building and finance committees, at age 44, was diagnosed with cancer, and he died in less than a year. Our daughter was 11. But the church was there for us, giving us help in many different ways and showering us with compassion. And because of that gift of love, we were able to survive and to begin to heal. When my daughter finished college, I moved here, became active in this church, and I've received the same gifts of wonderful friendship, lots of fun activities, and spiritual inspiration. Already on the second page. Well, when I became active in the UU Church, I quickly learned that for a church to exist, it can only exist if it has income from members and friends. There is no magical money god that just drops money down upon us every December ahead of the next fiscal year. Wouldn't that be wonderful? No, it's up to us to pledge our money, which are our gifts back to the source which sustains us. I'd like to mention something thought-provoking that I heard from a neighbor last month. My partner Steve and I were outside talking to a neighbor. Well, Jim is in his 80s, seemingly in good health, and owns a beautiful home down the street. We were talking about the tariffs and the economy, and Jim said, "Well, I'm paying a lot more for groceries, but my savings investment account keeps going up and up and up, and that's a problem." And I thought, what? I was bewildered. So I said to him, "Jim, why is that a problem?" And he said, "Because my daughters don't need the money." So I said, "Well, what about charitable causes?" I didn't get an answer, though, because some other neighbors came by and the conversation shifted. Let's see, where else am I? Now I'm supposed to hold up a graphic which shows how we are doing with our pledges. I think it was made by Andrea. Andrea is the person that is out in the lobby with pledge cards. Is that ready? Okay. Ah, okay. There we go. Do you want to? Want me to? Let me.
It hasn't been updated.
So, this is our goal, our budget, and this is how far we have come. I was supposed to say we're close, but actually we're not close at all. What I've learned from being a Unitarian is that every year the budget gets higher. And why is that? Well, salaries increase for all of the employees, not just the minister. Buildings age. You heard from Charlie about that. And then there are other needs that come into play. Greg White has given reports to the Board of Trustees about safety, telling them that the security cameras we have outside are not working. They're very antiquated and they don't take clear pictures. But there are many other areas that increase, and that's why the budget increases. And it's just a reality of our church. Anyway, so looking at this, please, consider donations. If you've already pledged, you might want to tweak your pledge upward a little bit. It's up to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet. As we gather in this sacred space, we are invited to invest in our church's mission and shared life. The offering we take today and every Sunday is more than financial support. It's a reflection of our commitment to this community and the values we strive to live out: love, justice, welcome, and care. Our church depends on each of us. Your generosity sustains our worship, programs, partnerships, and our ability to grow in faith and service. Whether you make a one-time gift, support today's Change for Change partner, or fulfill your annual pledge, every contribution helps strengthen our community and extend our reach. This quarter, our Change for Change partner is Amador Health Center, one of 5 organizations at the Community of Hope. Provides integrated health and wellness services to the Las Cruces community, whose work is to promote dignity by ensuring access to care for all, regardless of insurance, criminal background, immigration status, sexual orientation, drug use, or ability to pay. Through this partnership, we carry our values beyond these walls. You can give online, by mail, or by placing your gift in the plate. Every gift matters, and every gift makes a difference. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
You, Laura. I love history. As a boy, I read a whole shelf of biographies from the Childhood of Famous American series. It was on the shelf in orange bindings at our local library. I used to take home 6 of those each time and read them and then run back and get 6 more. Today, I read famous writers like David McCullough and William Manchester, Stephen Ambrose, and Doris Kearns Godwin. So I thought it would be a good idea, before we look at the roots of our free church, that we see what other people have to say about history. So, on learning from the past, George Santayana said, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." My history professor used to say that too, I recall. And Marshall McLuhan, one of my favorite writers, the fellow who did Understanding Media, you may remember, said, "A generation which ignores history has no past and no future." And of course, Robert Penn Warren, the famous writer, said, "History is a guide to navigation in perilous times." I think that's very appropriate. On the nature of history, this is more cynical. Winston Churchill said, "History is written by the victors." I would also add that it's written by the survivors, because sometimes there are no victors. And A. Whitney Brown, "The past actually happened, but history is only what someone wrote down." I like that. And Faulkner echoes, "History is not what is, it's what we remember." And finally, Napoleon, you remember Napoleon, invented that famous pastry, Napoleon Schnitten. "History is a set of lies agreed upon." Now, that's really cynical. I don't agree with that. Eric? This morning I'm going to talk about history, the roots of our free church, or where we came from and where we are now. Why do we need to know this? Well, in the words of George Orwell, another cynical historian, he says, "The most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history." So where are we now? Well, we are a free church, one who belongs to a covenantal association of other free churches, the Unitarian Universalist Association. We choose our own ministers. We give them freedom of the pulpit so they can preach on anything and everything. We are self-governing. We elect our own leaders using the democratic process, and they in turn govern us in an open and transparent fashion. And we depend on the resources, as Janet so articulately said this morning, of the members and friends to voluntarily pay for all this. We follow moral and ethical principles which are in part derived from the teachings of Jesus, the writings of Jewish prophets and sages, and from the beliefs of other world religions. We get our skepticism from the Enlightenment and our rationalism from humanism. Now, how did this come to be? Well, imagine that you're living in the land of Israel in the 4th decade of what we now call the 1st century, or the 14th year in the reign of Tiberius, the Roman emperor. Your leader has just been killed by order of civic authorities, the Roman governor. You are a member of a small Jewish sect who believed that Jesus was the Messiah. You honor his teachings, but you are under pressure from the religious establishment to deny all this. You may live communally with your other believers, and you are likely to be led by disciples of Jesus or by others who knew him personally. And you try to live your life by the principles he taught. You are persecuted for your beliefs, and sometimes to the extent of losing your life. Now, how does this relate to us and our church? It's the fellowship of believers that the early Christian church established. No, we don't necessarily have the same religious beliefs, but we join together to honor the same principles and to try to live up to them. That's our first root. What happens in the next 200 years is that Christian beliefs begin to spread throughout the Mediterranean area, and they're adopted by hundreds and thousands of people. But there are many competing voices as to what is true and what is not, and this is a growing religious movement, so it's causing a lot of confusion. So an organizer comes around, and he's in the form of a political leader, and his job is to help resolve the conflicting opinions about Christianity. His name is Constantine. In the early 4th century CE, the Roman Emperor Constantine, who was a convert to Christianity, calls the Council of Nicaea in 325 in order to restore order to the nation between competing theologies. This council meets and decides what's right and what's wrong, and who is a heretic and who is not. For instance, they decided that Arius, who put forth the idea that Jesus was a man, not a god, was a heretic and should be excommunicated. To reinforce this, they also created the Nicene Creed, which some of you may remember. If I can turn my page. It reads, We believe in the one God, the Father Almighty, maker of all things visible and invisible, and in one Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God, begotten from the Father, only begotten, that is, from the substance of the Father. Okay? Remember that? We didn't say that in our church, but, I have a feeling we felt that. On the other hand, the Council of Nicaea did not censure Origen of Alexandria. He was a theologian, and he espoused the idea of universal salvation. Now, around this same time, Constantine issued edicts that allowed for the separation of the clergy from the general population and granted them special privileges, including the right to hold property and the right not to be taxed. Now, the result of this codification of religion creates a church that will be the bulwark of civilization when the Roman Empire collapses. But before that happens, we have to look at the elements that come down to us. From the Council of Nicaea, one element that has strongly influenced our free church is the concept of universal salvation. The Universalists, who joined with us in 1961, really were the continuation of this. And from Constantine comes special treatment of the clergy. Okay? Now, the fall of the Roman Empire, roughly 550 CE, the church becomes the most stable body in the Western world. This persists through the Dark or Middle Ages as the church consolidates power and control, and eventually this concentration of power causes enormous corruption among the leaders of the church, which leads to Reformation. During this time, the church rejects or dismisses the origins of the loving aspects of the teachings of Jesus and replaces them with the concepts of original sin and a vengeful God. By keeping the general population ignorant, the church also controls history by classifying what happened before Jesus' time as pagan. This is the unbelievers, right? And therefore sinful and corrupt. However, in the next millennium, things begin to change. We call this period from 1300 to 1600 roughly the Renaissance. It was a time of economic upheaval and political change, fueled in part in the 14th century by the Black Death. I don't know if you remember the Black Death. It was the bubonic plague. It killed about anywhere from a third to half of the population of Europe. An incredible thing which kept reappearing for about 50 years. However, there were revelations of ancient texts that came from Byzantium to Italy in the 1400s, and they began showing us what was going on in the Greek and Roman empires. And this, along with the printing press, which allowed distribution of mass information, changed the way people began thinking. The first Bible, was printed around 1452. We call it the Gutenberg Bible, though it wasn't printed by Gutenberg. He had already gone broke with his new system of printing. But it was printed by people and attributed to him. And it was printed in what we call the Latin Vulgate, that is the language, the Latin language that was spoken by the people rather than formal Latin. Anyone who could read could now get information and opinion from a wide range of sources. Printing not only reduced the numbers of copies, the cost of multiple copies, but it also allowed for the widespread of information. Now, some scholars believe that this Renaissance, this age of discovery, which was driven by European explorers of the so-called New World, created a new feeling of freedom among people. And Marshall McLuhan suggests that this change was enhanced by the shifting of university teaching from logic to rhetoric. Okay? But this combination of discoveries and other new influences created an intellectual and cultural movement called humanism, which shifted focus from purely religious dogma to a broader understanding of the world through reason and human reason and individualism. Thomas More, for example, an English cleric, was a proponent of this movement. He believed that a society could be improved through reason and a commitment to the Christian principles of active love and service to one another. So, from the Renaissance comes another root, the concept of humanism, an important element in our free church. Now, we like to think that with all this expansion of knowledge, it would create a better and more open and more tolerant society. Well, it didn't do that. The church remained the church. That was the church. Remained in strong control about what people could think and how they would act. For example, one of their critics, Jan Hus, a Czech, lived in what is now the Czech Republic, was a critic of the church. And so he was burned at the stake in 1415. However, there were other Catholics that began to challenge the doctrines and operations of the church. The most famous, of course, is Martin Luther. And you might know that October 31st is the celebration in Germany of Reformation Day, because it's the day in which he posted the 95 theses, or proposals, as we now call them, on the door of the church in Wittenberg. He specifically called out the Pope and the priesthood for their promotion and selling of indulgences. If you don't know what indulgences were, these were the things that you paid to the church, and that helped get your friends and loved ones out of purgatory. As a result of the beliefs of people like Luther in Germany, John Knox in Scotland, John Calvin, a Frenchman, but he practiced in Geneva, Protestants became a group of anti-hieretical, anti-clerical people. In the Church of Scotland, for example, there were no bishops, there were no popes. Instead, there were elders in each congregation who decided the direction of the church. So, from the Reformation, then, we get the idea of self-rule. These Scots, by the way, who were Calvinists, which means they were just as theologically rigid as the Catholics they replaced, when Michael Servetus, who was a critic of the church, eventually fled to Geneva to seek the safety of the Protestant leader Calvin, he was instead imprisoned and eventually burned at the stake in 1553. Okay. However, another one of our influences comes from the Enlightenment. I talked about their skepticism. This is an 18th century intellectual movement that emphasized reason, individualism, and skepticism toward traditional authority, including monarchies and religion. It applied scientific principles like rationalism and empiricism to fields that, like politics and society, promoted ideas like natural rights, religious tolerance, and the social contract. And these ideals certainly influenced the American and French revolutions, as well as laying the groundwork for what we call modern democracies. So, from the Enlightenment comes our concepts of natural rights, religious tolerance, and the social contract. These, then, are the roots that have shaped our free church. From the early Christians, the fellowship of believers. From Constantine, the idea of one church. From the Council of Nicaea, an idea of universal salvation. From the Renaissance, the concept of humanism. From the Reformation, the idea of self-rule. And from the Enlightenment, our concept of natural rights, religious tolerance, and what we call the social contract. Well, What then shall we do with this new knowledge? I refer to another historical figure in our past, a famous Universalist minister from the early 19th century. He challenged us with this. He said, "Go out into the highways and byways, give people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach the kindness and the everlasting love of God." May it be so. Ashe and Amen.
May we rise in body or spirit as you are able as we sing our closing hymn, number 10, Immortal Love.
I'm a member of your board, and I get to invite you to participate in the church with some announcements. I'll keep these brief. First, as you've heard a number of times, we're looking at finances. And tonight, the Finance Committee has its final presentation on where we stand with the budget. It'll be a Zoom presentation. I can't encourage you enough. Take the time to look at this, participate in this Zoom. You can get the information, the link is in the invitation, email invitation, and week at a glance. Again, it's at 5 o'clock today. It's the final presentation. You can ignore, if you're looking at your paper handout, the fact that there is a crafters meeting tomorrow or today, but that was yesterday. However, I will tell you that the second Saturday of every month, the crafters get together. There's great fellowship, tremendous skill sharing, and an ability and a time and a place to just spend being in peace with who you are and what you do as crafters. So I'd urge you to get in touch with Sarah. We have a roundtable coming up tomorrow, and this is going to be an interactive discussion with Dr. Robert Del Campo. He's a professor emeritus, founding director of a graduate program in family therapy at New Mexico State University. The discussion will focus on effective ways to cope with anxiety and depression that may exist within oneself and others. Let's see, am I supposed to? It'll be right here. It's not in the announcement. I don't know about y'all, but it seems like everywhere I go, someone's going. So this will be a really good, if you feel it, or your loved ones feel it, or if you just feel the compassion of community, which this church is based on, this is a good tool. Yolanda has asked me to let you know that she wants to thank all of everybody, the wonderful, beautiful people that supported her and the drumming circles over the last year. For those of you who are new, or those of you who haven't participated, drumming circles are a great, powerful tool for meditation, communication with others, development of one's own sense of personhood and space, and those occur. The next one, Saturday the 15th from 1 to 3 here in the Religious Education Building. You don't have to have your own drum. You can come and tap on your thigh as I do, since I don't have a drum, you know. It's a great thing. Finally, on November 18th, Nico Lang, it's an author of The American Teenager, will give an exclusive reading followed by questions and answers. That'll be at 7 p.m. and the location is in room 125 of Hardman Jacobs Hall in MSU. Sponsored by PFLAG and other local organizations. You can register using the QR code on the poster outside in the Religious Education Great Room. Not on this agenda for notes is, if you aren't aware of it, we have an art gallery, and our current show is crafts and seasonal goods, and it's open. It's open right now, and it has a schedule that is easy to access, and hope that you'll go in and look at that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Greg. Our closing words are from a 34-year-old immigrant and U.S. citizen, ex-city councilman and Democratic socialist, who is the mayor-elect of New York City. And I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, Zoran Mamdani. In his victory speech, he said, "In this new age we make for ourselves, we will refuse to allow those who traffic in division and hate to pit us one against the other. Here, we believe in standing up for those we love, whether you are an immigrant, a member of a trans community, one of the many black women that Donald Trump has fired from a federal job, a single mom still waiting for the cost of groceries to go down, or anyone else with their back against the wall. Your struggle is ours too. May it be so."
Please join me in saying the words to extinguish the flame. The words are on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.